All right. We are here. All right, guys. We're going to jump into this weekend fishing forecast. We'll take a look at all the conditions, figure out what's going on, all that good stuff. Now, before we do, there's a couple things I want to touch on. First off, if you're not already aware, I have jumped on board with Daiwa. And I tell you what, guys, I need to make a list of all the potential sponsors I turned down just because I just don't believe in their product, or I don't think it's a good fit for inshore fishing, or I'd just much rather use what I prefer to use. Let me remove that. Um, but I did just pick up a couple reels, and there's two that I want to show you. All right, there is. Oh, is our stream health good? Okay, we're still kicking. All right, good to go. There's a spinning reel, the Saltist 2500, and I like it. I like it because it is made for inshore fishing. Let's take it out here. And what I like about it, what makes it special, as to why it is it's made for inshore fishing, is it's not terribly heavy. It's good looking, but that's not it. Pull it out. I really like the way they package this too. Make sure it stays all nice and pretty. Because I'm going to drop it on the deck, on the first fishing trip. But what they do is they put rubber seals and gaskets on like everything. Let me boom. There we go. On everything. But something else that they have, and they do that to keep the salt water out. Something else that they do. Let me see. Here we go. I don't know how well y'all can see it. Whoop, whoop. There we go. They use magnetic oil to seal their bearings and like the main shaft and the line roller, things like that. And that's good, so keep salt water out. So that's a reel that's going to stand the test of time. Now, another reel, bait caster that I really like is this. This is their Tatula SV. Comes with a T-wing system. So and this probably isn't. I'm not doing a I'm not doing a review here. All right, this is just a live stream. But I really like the T-wing that they put on for releasing line off the spool during a cast, so it's not coming off at a sharp angle. That's how braid digs in on itself. The thing has really tight tolerances, so water isn't going to get on the inside. Even if it did, there's no centrifugal brakes. It's all this like high-speed magnetic brake. It's very smooth. In fact, this reel is actually smoother than a $350 Shimano I've got. All right. So I like them, and I'm stocking up on them. They're great for throwing like twitch baits or swim baits for redfish or whatever, just get the appropriate gear ratio. Anyways, so yeah, two Daiwa reels that I really like. Just want to share that with you. I'll do gear reviews, product reviews on them later in an actual post. Something else you'll need to be aware of, and if you're not, you might want to check where you live because it could be under a rock, right? And this is the whole issue of water access. And if you're not familiar, here in Louisiana, we have this really screwed up, weird constitution that land management and oil companies have taken advantage of to interpret in their favor, so that they can claim ownership over not just water bottoms, but also the water that flows over it. Okay, we're not talking about private ponds or landlocked lakes. We're talking about water that's subject to the flow and ebb of the tide that, according to the public trust doctrine, you can take a boat into. But there are people who are getting off the marsh and claiming that they own the water. Obviously, this is ridiculous. It's stupid. That's just the nicest that's the nicest sugar-coated way I could put it. And we're fighting this. There are several bills, there are several bills that are being introduced and whatnot. We had a good run last year, but unfortunately, nothing passed the House of Representatives, just because things weren't. That was just the beginning. Okay, this is a long-term chess kind of game. That's the simplest way I can describe it right now. If you want to know more information, you need to go check out the Louisiana Sportsman's Coalition on Facebook, and they also have a website, lasc.net. That's lasc.net. And become a member. It's like $20 a year. You should become a member. They are the only organization that's fighting for our rights to go to go fishing. They're the only people fighting for our fishing freedom. The CCA is not going to do it for the CCA. Don't care. Okay, they've got other things to do. It's way too political for them, that's just. I'm just going to leave it at that. You should check out Louisiana Sportsman's Coalition. Now, the House bill that has teeth and really kicks ass is HB 231, House Bill 231, introduced, written by my representative, Kevin Pearson. Right, KP. And it is going to committee on April 30th at 9 a.m., obviously in the Capitol building. So definitely be there if you can. If I recall correctly, that's a Monday. So if you need to call in sick to work, it's a good day to use a sick day. All right. Come in. We need as many people to show up as possible. We need you. And if you can't do that, whether you can or can't, you should definitely be calling your state representative, your state senator, and ask them, hey, what are you doing to fight for my fishing freedom? Because a lot of them think they're going to get off the hook on this because they have been for so long. It'll be up to you to make sure that they don't. All right, figuratively speaking, okay, not literally. We're not hooking anyone. So, anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and move on. Let's look at the current conditions. It's storming outside. Current predicted conditions and some fishing reports, and then I'll kind of give you my opinion on what it is that I will do, right, to go catch some fish, whether speckled trout, redfish, or whatever. So let's go ahead and jump into this. All right, oops, not that. All right, guys. So current conditions. This is a Shell Beach buoy. And if you've seen it before, you've seen it before. If you haven't, then I'll re-explain some of this stuff. So this is a buoy for like a weather station for the area that I predominantly fish. It shows me like water levels, wind speed, air temperature, water temperature, air pressure. And I really like the water level part. The red line denotes observed water levels, and the blue line represents predicted water levels. And you can see that they're not always quite the same, but lately, for the most part, that's what it's been doing. Now you can see that the water's coming in a little bit more, and that's because we have this low that this cold front is pushing out of the way. So water's going to be up, but it's probably going to come right back down, and we'll see that with the predicted conditions. Water temperature, yep, it's in the low 70s. It's been there, guys. So that's a signal to speckled trout that they need to start moving out, get out of that fresher water, head towards saltier water so they can spawn. They don't need, guys, just a quick rundown on this. Speckled trout don't need salt water, or they don't need super salty water. All right, they only need it for spawning. Otherwise, where we have been catching, some really nice 2, 3, 4 pound speckled trout has been in pretty much just straight fresh water, and if it is salty, it is a very, very low salinity, so keep that in mind. But they are heading out towards that saltier water. All right, so let's go and look at other current conditions like this satellite imagery. Now this is the most recent clear day that we've had. This is April 21st in the afternoon, and looking on the east side of the river, you can see, okay, not a whole lot of clean water going on in Lake Pontchartrain, and that's probably going to be done for a while, but there on the 21st, pockets of clean water did move out into Lake Bourne. Now let me zoom in here so you can get a better look. This is the best resolution they have, and honestly, I hope it never gets better than this. Some things just shouldn't be that easy. Anyway, here around Alligator Point and Alligator Bend, you can see, whoop, there's some clean water there. Here on the north shoreline over by Martello Castle, you see that cleaner water. The darker water is cleaner water. The tanner, lighter stuff is dirtier water. You see it over here on this shoreline down here over by, Shell Beach and Campos. You can see the Mr. Go is looking pretty dark. For a while there it wasn't, but it is now. So that's just good to know. Now you get more over here towards Hopedale and the Rock Dam. It's a little dirtier, right? And I just like the Mister Go. I just like the Mister Go uh, because it stays clean. Okay, it's got deep water that fish can use, and there's bait in it. Bait's so important. Anyways, so but here just south of the Rock Dam, you can see where it's a little bit cleaner, and in that cleaner water, that stretch of clean water, we've been finding speckled trout. I went out there in 30-mile-per-hour winds and caught I think 20. Was it 20 or might have been 18? It all rolls into one big fishing trip after a while, but I caught 20 speckled trout, so that's not bad. Out here by the Long Rocks, out here in bigger water, Black Bay and all that, it is just complete and total garbage. Look at that. Now that has changed since then, but this just is the most recent satellite imagery I can afford you guys. Uh, Maybe out here towards some of the outside islands and whatnot, obviously cleaner, obviously saltier. But you got to have a boat to get out there, and the wind's gonna lay down. Now over here on the west side, yeah, they obviously got much cleaner, saltier water. Fushan, Grand Isle, and all that. Let me zoom out here. Vermilion Bay and all that, yeah, obviously not doing that well. The shot flies blasting it pretty hard, and everything over here in Dularge kind of looks dirtier too. So that's something to keep in mind. But man, this area right here, okay. Uh, and this is all good, but I would. There's still so many other things to look at, guys, especially fishing reports, and we'll jump into that. Now we see this satellite imagery. All right, that tells us one thing, but what does the Hydrocoast map tell us? And the Hydrocoast maps are like a salinity map. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Here's the west side, and you can see. Well, here's your. Let me zoom in here. Here's your legend over here to the left. Let me try and zoom in a little bit more. People complain they can't see. But guys, don't watch this on a freaking phone. Okay, there you go. Watch it on a bigger screen, and you'll be able to see more. I know that's obvious, but I just want to throw that out there. That quick solution. Anyways, when you're looking at these salinity lines, all right, anything that is more blue is going to be more fresh. Anything that's leaning more towards the red side is going to be saltier. And typically what we're fishing is going to be anything that's like green or yellow, all right, or for a speckled trout spawn. Because speckled trout need that 15 to 17 parts per thousand spawn, and guys, they've got that good salty water, obviously very close to the marina over here. Okay, you don't have to make a far run to get at it, so it should come as no surprise that people have been catching fish out of Fushan and Grand Isle and whatnot. If you see those fishing reports. Now we look over here on the east side of the Mississippi River, and it's a different story. Mississippi Sound is just blown out with fresh water because we've just had so much fresh water come in from the Bonnie Carey Spillway, right? And man, everything's just so 0.5 parts per thousand, guys. That's basically fresh water. And even over here, most everywhere I've been catching trout has been less than 5 parts per thousand, definitely less than 10 parts. And if you want to get out towards any marsh that has any semblance of saltier water, you really got to be looking at this East Biloxi Marsh. All right. Otherwise, what's going to happen with the speckled trout is that you'll be able to hammer them on their way out during the spring run. But as soon as they get out there, unless something happens, right, unless that river just drops like a rock and we get a good strong push of salt water, you're going to have to make a run to get on speckled trout. So what I would be doing now for homework is finding redfish and staying on them so you have fish that you can catch throughout the summertime. Anyways, I like to think in terms of a long-term strategy. So let's go ahead and look at predicted conditions. So what's going on right now is we have, according to, I like reading the synopsis on the NOAA Marine Forecast, and it says low pressure that's in the Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas region will move northeast. An associated cold front passes through the area into the coastal waters this afternoon. Once the low has moved and the cold front passes, high pressure will build in the area. So we just have a cold front situation. And fortunately for us, it's passing through right now. Okay, we don't have to worry about it passing through during the weekend. So anytime there's a change in weather, wind, water conditions, etc., it's going to move fish around. But we'll get a little bit of stability before the weekend hits. So, we'll be able to, I think we'll be able to catch some fish this weekend is what I'm saying. All right. Thankfully, the cold front isn't hitting like, Saturday afternoon. Or Saturday morning would probably be worse. But anyways, semantics. Let's not delve into that. Looking at the wind forecast, and I'm looking at, I'm using Wind Finder to look at the Shell Beach area. Yeah, so tomorrow, we're seeing some pretty strong winds tomorrow, but nothing that's that bad. Nothing like today, 25 miles an hour. And look, guys, remember, I went and fished in 30 mile, it was more like 35 mile per hour winds, and it was rough. Okay, but I stayed out of open water. I got protected using all that same stuff that I preach about over at Louisiana Fishing Blog at LAFishblog.com. And I was able to stay out of the wind, and I was able to catch a good deal of fish. Okay, and I think the heaviest fish went 3 or 4 pounds, something like that. So nice fish, right? Quality speckled trout, at least for what we're used to here in Louisiana, anyways. So let's look at the rest of this forecast. Yeah, it'll be sunny. Imagine that. Yeah, right after a cold front, it's going to be sunny, which is great for sight fishing redfish in shallow water. And it's fine for speckled trout. I just prefer overcast weather. So sunny. The wind is going to turn back around out of the southeast by Saturday, though, which is fine because it'll jive with that tide. We got a 1 foot tidal range there. It looks like it'll be slack first thing in the morning, and you need to be looking at the tide for your own area because it'll be different if you're not fishing, the Shell Beach area. But you'll have a little bit of tide. Same thing for Sunday. You have a 1 foot range, which is awesome. Friday is a 1.3 foot range. That's awesome too. That'll help fight that northwest wind, so you'll still have some moving water. So that's good. Sunday the wind's definitely going to lay down. So if you want to make a big long run out to open water, okay, like a big bay or sound, that will be the day to do it for sure. Excuse me. Otherwise, the other days, yeah, it'll be blowing a little bit, especially on a Saturday, on this Saturday, and that's good because it can help you drift across bodies of water. It can help you drift across shallow ponds for redfish. You don't have to run that trolling motor and spook them. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at all this. I'm like, hell yeah, this is all great. There's no crazy temperature change that can move fish around. If anything, it's just going to get warmer, and you'll be able to fish. Man, especially if you're fishing that tidal change first thing in the morning, like on Sunday at 9 a.m. Man, if you could be out there at daybreak and hammer them before that sun gets up, and keep fishing through that tidal change, that'll be awesome. That'll be good. I like that. Let's see what else we got here. I'm looking at my list. Yeah, let's go look at fishing reports. All right, guys. So here we go. Here's one from Keith. This is for Hopedale. He went in and fished out of his kayak, and looks like he blasted some redfish. Not bad. Okay, that's all I need to know is oh, hang on a second. I'm not reading this report right. Let me actually read this report, guys. He went and hopped on. He went to Hopedale with his kayak, but then hopped on his buddy's boat. So they went to the Breton Sound Islands, which I guess is like Breton Island, Gosher Island, and water's still dirty. Winds are low out of the southeast. Not a single bite except 2 hardheads. About 11, they stopped at a gas platform, and then there's on a redfish frenzy. All on live and dead shrimp on the bottom. Threw back at least 10 bull reds, 10 small sheep's head, and managed to get 10 keepers before running out of shrimp. Fish did not want artificial. I guess 50 shrimp per person is not enough for that kind of action. I guess so. All right, so yeah, he had a good trip out of Breton Sound out in Big Water. That's all right. Good to know. Uh, Jeff went. Where did he go? All right, so I'm trying still figuring out where. Okay, he launched at Breton Sound Marina and or Hotel Marina, and made it out to the short rocks by about 11 a.m. Da, 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 da. He didn't really catch a whole lot out there. Yeah, the water's kind of dirty out there, guys. I've been out to the long rocks fairly recently, and it was dirty. It was dirty out there. We didn't catch a whole lot of fish out there. We had to go further inside the Mister Go to find them, so they're just not out there yet. Uh, but it's it's good to know. I mean, if you didn't catch anything out there, that's still a good report. Okay, it's good to know where fish aren't. Right. Anyways, pressing on here. Um, this gentleman Gary asked, anyone know of any birds over trout? And I was supposed to add in Black Bay. Well, buddy, if you looked at the Moto satellite imagery we just looked at in this weekend fishing forecast, you would know that you're probably not going to find them there. uh, of course, he says Black Bay. It's like, which Black Bay? I'm assuming the one that we looked at. But Jared here says, yeah, they caught trout out of Fouchon last week under birds. And Fouchon's where it's really salty. Water's really clean. Here's another fishing report from Brett out of Hopedale. He fished along rocks inside and outside, and he got this mixed bag. Not bad. All right, he's got some nice trout in there. Tommy, he went out to Pointe-aux-Chenes and did pretty good on redfish both days. All right, good stuff. All right, here's Jason. Jason typically does pretty well out of LAFB. He fishes it all the time, but they just had a rough day. All right. I really haven't heard a lot of good reports coming out of Lafitte. And here's Gary with a good report out of Terrebonne Bay, near Fouchon, and he caught 50-something trout there. So, man, that's good. That's great. Here's one from Myrtle Grove. They take their kayaks down to Myrtle Grove, and I'm assuming they went and caught redfish. They had a slow day with only 2 good sized slot reds. Okay, well, thanks for the report, Sam. Appreciate it. Something tells me that there's fish there. They just didn't find them. Here's Jared. He headed down to Cocodrie, and they managed to catch some trout and redfish. So, all right, guys, this is important to me only in that are people catching fish. All right, because if they're catching fish, especially in a certain area, then that tells me what fish are in that area, right? So I wouldn't go to Hopedale for speckled trout. I would go fish there anyway, just because I like the challenge of finding them and jigging them as close to the marina as possible. But if I really wanted to smoke the crap out of them, I would probably make the drive down to Fouchon or Leeville or somewhere where I can launch to go fish that cleaner water we identified on the map. So if I couldn't do that, let's say it's too windy. All right, let's say I was going to go tomorrow or Saturday, it would definitely be I would make plans to fish deeper water that's protected if I wanted to catch speckled trout or redfish. And I would make plans to fish because that water is going to be up, right? They're just going to drop like a rock with that northwest wind, or rather, right. Let me clear something up. Yeah, we do have that good tide that's going to fight that northwest wind, but the southeast wind we have right now is going to pump excess water into the marsh. That excess water is going to come out with that northeast, or rather northwest wind, and but we'll still have a rising tide, is what I'm saying, if that makes sense. So when the tide does fall good, and all that bait's going to push out of those ponds, those shallow ponds, and you'll be able to fish that. But there'll still be water in those ponds that you can still fish in, right? So I would fish those ponds for redfish. I'll go fish my favorite shorelines for redfish, wherever all that bait's going to dump into. If you run sonar at all, I'll tell you, because this has been working. Fish wherever it is you normally catch fish, especially speckled trout during the springtime. But if you don't see any bait on the surface, that's not good. All right, and if you don't see any at all on sonar, then that might be a dead giveaway. Right, you want to go to where you're finding lots and lots of bait, and where I've been doing best are places where I find big bait balls like the size of a car. I think the biggest one I came across was like the size of a school bus. All right, so that's what you want to be around. Doesn't mean fish are that. It doesn't mean that fish are going to be right in the middle of it. Obviously not. Okay, and if they were, it would be painfully obvious. Fish would be blowing up all around you. But it means that if the bait's in the area, the fish aren't going to be too far away. Okay, so that's what I would do. I would definitely graph in deeper water, looking for that bait. Now, when the wind lays down on Sunday, what I would do is start running out towards that bigger water. Okay. If anything, just to look to see what's going on out there. All right. We had that one gentleman that went out and tore the redfish up in Breton Sound somewhere. I'm willing to bet that if you made Sunday would be a good day to go fish a place like Fouchon, especially if you're not familiar with the area. 'Cause I don't. Why would I ever go fish down there? I've never fished at a Fouchon. I fished at a Grand Isle and Dulac and Dularge, basically everywhere around there. But I've never fished that specific area. Why would I? You know how many speckled trout, how many fish I would pass up on my way there. Okay, so I would only go fish at a Fouchon for the sake of fishing at a Fouchon. But today things are different. We have all this river water now, and it's kind of freaking putting a hampering on things. It's not making it impossible to catch fish. I'm still catching speckled trout. It's changed things. You gotta go looking for them a little bit more now. Okay. In some places where they should be running right now, they're just not because it's covered in straight river water. But down there, they're not covered in straight river water. So, I don't know. If I wanted to go check out Fouchon Sunday, would be the day to go and go. And this is what I do with my fishing trip review, guys. Is I'll sit down and be like, okay, this is how I know where it's going to be safe to drive my boat, and this is where I think speckled trout are going to be. And then I go out there and you'll see if it works, and usually it does. So it'd be cool if I rolled in there on a fishing trip review and just slam hammered them. Ba-dow, ba-dow, ba-dow. Yeah. Or just might be a learning experience. But Sunday would be the day to go. Okay, like today would obviously not be the day to go, and tomorrow wouldn't be either, right? Because it's the day after a cold front. But Sunday would be. The wind's going to lay down. Everything will stabilize. Now, some tackle and equipment that I would have. Obviously, trolling motor spotlight preferably. If not, shallow water anchor, drift sock. Drift sock is a big one for covering water, especially when you have that 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. Awesome drift sock wind. What has really been working for me to catch speckled trout in places where they are, but it's a little more difficult to catch them, has been a jig on light line. So anywhere from a 1/4 ounce to 3/8 ounce jig head with whatever color. You need to have a color that matches the conditions. I think a good starting color would be like ultraviolet, matrix shad and ultraviolet, and using light line. And guys, I catch so much flack for this, but guess what? I catch speckled trout. So what's up, man? What's up? 12-pound test. I was using 10-pound test and catching them, and so I'm saying no thicker than 12-pound test because you do get more bites with a lighter line. Now, I'm going to throw something out there. I'm probably going to hurt some feelings with this, but you know what? We're all anglers, we're all fishermen, right? So you got to have a little bit of thick skin. So try not to get too butthurt. There is something incredibly wrong if you need 20-pound test line to pull a 1-pound fish at a 6 foot of water. All right, because there are bass anglers, professional bass anglers, who pull 5-pound smallmouth, who are those fish are heavier for one, and fight way harder than some dingleberry speckled trout, aka a weak fish. All right, they pull 5-pound smallies out of 40 foot of water with 8-pound test fluorocarbon, sometimes 6-pound test. Stuff you used to fish sac-a-lait with. That's what they catch them with. They're fishing deep. That lighter line helps them fish deep and imparts a better action onto the lure. So if they're able to do it, okay, if they're able to win tournaments doing that, I think we could catch a few speckled trout doing that, and we do. Okay, we do. We absolutely crush them with it. All right, so Get a bait caster, spool it up, some 10-pound, 12-pound monofilament, and go out there and get them, Tiger. Because I'll tell you right now, there's been 2 good speckled trout trips I've been on so far, and one of them's already uploaded to LAFB Elite, where I'm using that light line and I'm using that jig, and there are boats literally right next to me throwing live shrimp underneath the cork. They're not, and if they're catching stingrays, throwback sheep's head, and whatnot. So I'm not being a cocky a-hole here. I'm literally telling you how to go do it and where it is you need to go. All right. If I was withholding all that, then maybe I'd be a cocky a-hole at that point in time. But I'm not. I'm telling you guys this is what actually works. You just got to get over this whole light line thing. All right, because it kicks ass. So that's what I would do. Okay, that's my rundown there. If you have any questions or comments, by all means, post them up below. All right, I take time out to answer these questions and whatnot. Or if you just have anything to add, maybe there's something you feel other people should know that I didn't include, and I would love to have you do that. So go ahead and do that. For the rest of you, have a good weekend, and hopefully I get to see you guys out on the water, and more importantly, supporting House Bill 231. Tight lines, y'all.